Air that is supposed to keep us alive is gradually choking and killing us. Sometimes the pollution index reaches frightening levels, putting our health at risk. Furthermore, according to the US Environmental Protection Agency, indoor air is up to 100 times more polluted than outside air. Emissions from the traffic and industrial plants seep indoors and combine with particles from cleaning fluids, beauty products, building materials, cooking, and smoking. In fact, indoor air may contain over 900 chemicals in addition to pollen, molds, and viruses. Since we spend 90% of our times indoors, consistently breathing clean air can have a significant impact on our health. As a result, purchasing an air purifier can help to improve our breathing, which can lead to a number of rewards such as increased energy, better blood circulation, and a strengthened immune system. So let's learn more about them. HEPA stands for High Efficiency Particulate Air, and it's developed in 1940s to filter radiation dust. Normal non-HEPA filter acts as a sieve, and when air passes through a sheet of small holes, it traps the large particles. This works well for larger particles, but for small particles of dust, dirt, and hair, it can pass through without being caught. So how is HEPA different and how does it work? Let me give you a brief introduction of its technology. Its filters can come in the form of many shapes, and they can remove particles as small as 0.3 microns, which is considerably smaller than standard filters. To put this in perspective, a human hair is around 100 microns wide. The outer filter is similar to a basic sieve. This layer is designed to remove the largest particles of dust and dirt. The inner layer is made of what appears to be a folded material, which is actually glass fibers. This layer does not act as a sieve, but instead it catches particles in several different ways. The slowest moving particles, which are also the heaviest, will move around randomly in the filter through diffusion, and eventually they will stick to the glass fibers. Faster particles either directly collide with fibers or become attracted to them as they pass by through interception.
Ozone, also known as O3, is made up of 3 oxygen atoms. It is created when UV light from the sun breaks down the oxygen molecules, which then attach themselves to other oxygen molecules in the air. We all know ozone as what's in the upper atmosphere that protects us from harmful UV rays from the sun. Do you know that ozone is naturally occurring and is found in the lower atmosphere where we are to sanitize and remove odors from our air? In 2001, the FDA approved the use of ozone as an antimicrobial cleaning agent. Ozone technology works by the intentional production of ozone gas. The ozone molecule is a strong oxidizing agent capable of reacting with volatile organic compounds. It is very unstable, and it actively seeks out polluting organic molecules and destroys them by oxidation. The oxidation process occurs when an oxygen atom is released and is reverted back to an oxygen molecule. The third oxygen atom released is capable of removing pollutants including bacteria, viruses, fungi, and molds, which aids in refreshing and disinfecting the air.
Negative ion technology is an electrostatic air cleaner, which is one of the particle cleaning technologies. So how does this negative ion technology work? It functions through the production of ions. Ions are particles in the air that have acquired either a positive or negative charge by losing or gaining an electron. Negative ion air cleaners are designed to disperse charged particles ions into the air by using high voltage wires to add one extra electron to air molecules to induce a negative charge. How do the negative ions aid in cleaning the air? The negative ions attach themselves to airborne contaminants such as dust, pollen, and smoke, which are usually positively charged, giving them a charge so they stick onto positively charged surfaces such as walls, floors, and curtains. This thereby removes particulate matter from the air. The negative ions also provide a fresher smelling air. Negative ion technology is one of the simplest forms of an electronic air cleaner and comes in various forms such as portable and tabletop.
So what exactly are some qualities of an efficient air purifier? Here, we have decided on using 3 different measures: particle removal, gaseous pollutant removal, pollutant destruction, and lastly their overall effectiveness. For the HEPA technology, it is only able to target airborne particles in the air and not odors and destruction of pollutants. For the ozone technology, it is able to target gaseous pollutants and odor through chemical and biological reactions. Ozone molecules also have a longer half-life as compared to the negative ions. However, it is limited by the fact that such reactions take a long time to proceed, and thus there would still be pollutants in the air for a considerable amount of time.
Unfortunately, there are no worldwide controls and regulations for air purifiers yet. The US Environmental Protection Agency neither certifies or recommends particular brands of air purifiers. Federal pesticide law requires manufacturers of ozone generators to list an EPA establishment number on the product packaging, which merely identifies the facility that manufactured the product, but it does not endorse the air purifier to be effective or safe. This is a cause of concern, as other than the National Ambient Air Quality Standard requirements for ozone, a maximum concentration cap at 0.08 ppm, air purifiers are not as strictly regulated as other household appliances. However, there are certain certifications made available by other independent companies that test for safe levels of ozone production and compliance with other safety codes. For example, the Air Resources Board has made available a list of certified air cleaners which typically emit no more than 0.05 ppm of ozone or none. The ARB has also listed a list of potentially hazardous ozone generators sold as air cleaners that one should avoid. The state of California has also taken strides to certify air cleaners made available in their state. To be certified, air cleaners must be tested for electrical safety and ozone emissions and meet a ozone emission concentration limit of 0.050 ppm. There are also other prominent certifications, such as the UL list and the ETL mark, which signifies that the air cleaners have been independently tested and is accordance to the safety standards. Although Singapore does not have definite controls in place for air purifiers yet, Workplace Safety and Health (WSH) has listed the types of particulate matter that the various air purifier technologies tackle. Independent organization bodies may take on the challenge of meeting certifications to air purifiers that are made available in Singapore to ensure the regulation of the production of air purifiers.
My current knowledge of air purifier is actually not that big. I know that there are different technologies. Some of them use filters. Some of them use UV light, and so some kind of photochemistry. Some of them, I believe, they may be using hydrogen peroxide, but I'm not so sure. Some of them use weird names that I have no clue what is behind that, and I hope to learn it from those projects. So I would expect that an air purifier can remove them either by trapping the particulates through a filter, and then to deal with gases by doing some kind of chemical reaction, like a kind of oxidation reaction to try and degrade those compounds. I think the main concern is, well, there are two sorts of concern. The least of them would be that it doesn't work, because if it doesn't work, you're just wasting your money, but at least it doesn't harm you. The worst thing that can happen is if actually by doing oxidation or these kind of things, if it produces molecules that are more toxic than the base molecule, and then they make your indoor air environment worse than it was at the beginning. This is where the real concern is. Ozone is harmful. Ozone is toxic. Ozone is an irritant and an air. Ozone is very is a very strong oxidant, so that's why they would want to use it. Because ozone, just like UV, can be used to degrade some of those molecules. But then, of course, you want to make there shouldn't be any residual ozone. Actually, ozone is produced, for example, during traffic from the exhaust gas of vehicles. So ozone is quite toxic. It is used as a sanitizer. Yes. Yeah. Ozone is used for water treatment, for example. You can use water to treat drinking water, for example, to remove some of the compounds in the water and to kill some of the bugs. But then, when you do that at a drinking water plant, typically you need a system to destroy the ozone in the outlet to make sure that ozone doesn't go, doesn't leave the plant. So I don't know how they handle that in an air purifier. So I don't think I would trust an ozone-based air purifier. I would feel a bit concerned by it.
Okay.
So many people use ozone. I use ozone for wastewater treatment, for example. But I use it in a fume hood to make sure that I don't breathe it. Somebody at a conference that I attended in June, somebody from France was mentioning that there is no regulation, there is no control, and that it's worrisome that there is no control.
Okay.
So if the general trend is that there is no control, then it's not specific to Singapore, right? I think it's a bit of a new issue, something that is just starting to be brought up. 6 months ago, I wasn't aware that there was an issue with air purifier. So actually, it's a very current topic. Well, I would say maybe it's better that it doesn't remove gases rather than it turns gases into something more toxic. At least you know what you're getting. If it removes particulates, I believe some people are sensitive to particulates. Maybe they're already happy enough. I don't know. All right.
Yeah,
Thank you very
thank you
much.
so much.
Bye. If gases, if toxic, harmful gases and odors are present in the air just by in a concentration that is so high as to cause toxicity, having a filter will not, having any kind of filter will not make me feel safe, I think. Well, even if it's not much diffuser, I do think it could be useful to have it already defined before it becomes the next big thing. I mean, everyone is concerned about pollution, having particles or other chemicals floating around in the air, and especially for a metropolis like Singapore is. So I think it would be useful to have regulations in place. Well, of course, I think it must be regulated from the producer, the level of ozone that can be of the output, and if the concentration of ozone produced is a problem, then it will be useful to have it to be able to be scaled depending on the size of the room to be treated. As can be for the air conditioning units are rated on the area that they can service and volume of air that can be treated. It does perform, for instance, like in the ability to remove certain different kind of components, like powders, floating powders, or for the removal of other chemicals. Like the HEPA filters do stop particles, some others can degrade other volatile chemicals. So having an indication of that would be interesting. I did notice that on my windowsill there is a buildup of black powders. I do not know if it comes from actually the air or something. But being a metropolis, of course, trying to limit the amount of cars and everything, also considering the risk of ACEs, coming from Indonesia and the like.